Yeah. Okay. So can you tell us your name and a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Emma Vu. I'm 21, recently graduated from college at the University of Laverne in SoCal, but born and raised here in Portland, and yeah, now I live in Tigard.
Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about the experience that you've gone through in the past few days?
Yeah, so on Friday, I was a part of Alaska Flight 1282 from Portland to Ontario, where I'm sure most of you have seen back door fell off mid-flight, and we had an emergency landing, rerouted back to Portland. Um, yeah, like, do you want me to keep going, like, more specifically into it?
Where were you on the plane?
I was sitting on the side where the panel had come off, but in front of it, so I didn't see the actual hole or anything.
Okay, can you tell us about the time after, about 24 hours after the event?
Yeah, I think it was definitely very traumatizing. Like I'm still processing and I know I'll be processing for a while. Alaska did an awesome job of taking care of us like as it was happening and then immediately after with the guest services line and like getting everyone rebooked onto the next flights or whatever flight they would like. Definitely crazy 24 hours with like reporters and all types of media outlets trying to contact me for interviews and that kind of thing. So, and then also obviously on top of trying to process what had just happened to me. So it was just a very hectic and overwhelming time.
Okay, so how do you feel like you're processing the event?
I think I'm doing an okay job. I think I'm very lucky to have a great support system. I have like family and friends who have reached out to me, and then on top of my day job and like my coworkers there and boss have been super understanding. I also coach for a local club, and the parents, swimmers, my co-coaches have been awesome as well. So I think that's been super helpful in my recovery process, on top of the fact that I'm actively seeking therapy right now and trying to see my best options on how to take care of myself. So,
Good. So you swam in college and now you work in swimming.
mhm.
So how did that, how do you feel like that helped you or affected you during this experience?
Definitely. So I think being a swimmer and growing up swimming for many years, like swimming is a very mentally demanding sport and there's a lot of situations in swimming like either during a race, before a race where you just have to take total control of your thoughts because that really becomes your reality in those situations. So for me on the flight, like I freaked out and then I was like, okay, like I have to calm myself down because freaking out is not really helping the situation, which similarly in swimming, if you freak out before a race, that's not going to help you at all. So I kind of guess I relate it back to that. And then as I was standing in the guest services line, the guy standing next to me was also a past swimmer. And like just being able to talk about that topic in swimming made the experience so much better because we were in line for close to 2 hours. And that just made the time go by so much faster and brought me comfort, like knowing I was next to someone who kind of like understood me, I guess. And the next morning when I rebooked my flight to a different one, I saw the entire Oregon All-Star swim team, which was super cool to see. Just a bunch of Arena bags, and Arena's the brand I work for. So I thought that was just cool to bring some kind of like normalcy back to my life.
Yeah, so talking about Arena, can you tell us about your job?
Yes. So I work for Arena, which is a major swim brand here in the US, one of the top three big names in the swimming world, even like worldwide. And I work specifically in social media. So I manage the Arena Instagram and Arena threads on top of the content strategy and all the posting. And sometimes I make the content as well. And then I also work with athletes at all levels, including professional, just to make sure they have everything they need and to like let them know when we're dropping new things and if they need anything, then I make sure their orders are fulfilled. So, yeah, that's my job with Arena. It's definitely my dream job. I've wanted it ever since high school, so really lucky to work in this field.
Cool. So what kind of experiences like what in this job have you had? Like
Yeah,
cool
so
stories.
yeah, I get what you're saying. So, I've gotten to go to really high level meets, such as the World Trials that was in Indianapolis this past June. I just came back from the US Open in Greensboro, North Carolina around a month ago. And I'll be heading to the Olympic trials this June in Indy again. So I'm really excited for that. It's super cool to be on deck and be at these high level meets that I didn't get to compete in as a swimmer, but it's so cool to still be on the spectating side and like even more than that because I'm like on deck with the athletes talking to them. So yeah, those have been the best experiences.
Yeah. So what kind of advice do you have for somebody who is wanting that kind of job?
I would say make connections. You really never know who is connected to who. So that could start with even your high school teachers and then even going into like college, making sure you're connecting with your professors, connecting with people around you. Like you never know who in your classroom could be like super successful one day or who do they know or maybe who are their parents. Everyone knows someone, and that's exactly how I got my job with Arena 2 was through connections. So that's what I recommend to all young people looking to get a job in my field or in sports specifically. It definitely is all about who you know.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have a
Yeah,
question?
I did have a question. So you mentioned that in the 24 hours after the plane, you were getting a lot of like requests for interviews. How did you manage like all of the stress that can come with that many people trying to talk to you?
Yeah, so to be honest, I just muted everything. So I realized that I was getting a lot of negative attention from my TikTok, but my TikTok was just like saying my point of view. So I was saying my truth. And I think it's just so hard seeing that I could be so vulnerable and like natural trying to like tell my story and people are kind of like giving hate and negativity. And that was just really hard for me. So I just removed it altogether. I restricted my comments. I on my Instagram, I only am accepting messages from people that I follow back. So that means all people requesting interviews or reporters can't message me unless I follow them back, which I don't. So that's what I had to do just to kind of protect my peace because I know a lot of people are like, oh, like ignore the haters or like it's just hate and that kind of thing. But it is very overwhelming, especially just to have your phone blow up constantly or that feeling that like people are trying to reach you and just like setting those boundaries and reminding myself, like, this is just another day in those reporters' lives. But for me, this is my entire life that I have to carry this with me. So that's how I was managing it. And it's just been insane and just telling all my friends and family to like ignore them because reporters have been reaching out to my parents, my boyfriend, coaches I've worked with through Arena, and even the Arena customer service email, and then the club team's Facebook page. Like it's just been so insane and relentless. So, yeah.
So, um, if you can talk about it, going back to being on the plane, how was it like on the plane? Luckily, nobody was hurt, but how did the crew and everybody else there react when the plane lost the door mid-flight? I know I
Yeah,
would have been like freaking out.
definitely. And I know I was freaking out. And when I looked around, for the most part, it seemed like many people were calm, which is weird. And on every video you watch back on, I try not to watch a lot of them, but when I read the comments, that's always the top comments are like, people seem so calm. And I do think a big factor of that is because we had the oxygen masks on, so you couldn't really hear people like yelling or that kind of thing. So that's probably why it seemed quiet, along with the fact that like you can hear the air. That probably was a distraction, but I not distraction, but like distracting like the thoughts of the people on the flight.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's just like hard for me to remember, but I know the crew was amazing. That one of the flight attendants came up to me and was like, "It's gonna be okay," like trying to calm me down in that moment, even though everyone else is freaking out. She took that time to kind of say that to me. It was definitely really scary. Like we just didn't know where we were going and stuff. So I was really fearful we were gonna land like in some houses or the river. Like I didn't know we were rerouting back to Portland. So
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
guys.